So Steve Sisolak said a bunch of stuff. Is he closing the hotels, the casinos? Is it all being shut down? We'll get to that in a minute. We also have consumer electronics canceling, which makes all of my haters hate me even harder and say, see, you're such a stupid idiot, we told you. And I'm like, no man, I told you I could stand corrected, and I do like being stood corrected. We also have the Tropicana being up for sale, and oh my God, look, it's a rabbit. Come here, rabbit, let's go. Wascally wabbit. This is what you get in Las Vegas. All right, that was pretty cool. Anyways, I'm right here in front of where I actually got married, the Little Church of the West. And it's a historical church, so I thought I would get out on the Strip on advice of a friend of mine who said, you know what, you got to be on the Strip a little bit more so people know that you are who you say you are and you really do live here. You're not a remote blogger somewhere. So Little Church of the West, we got a ton of news to unpack today. Again, Sisolak gave a speech yesterday, talked about the mask mandates, talked about closing things and all that kind of stuff. That rabbit is so docile. It's like he knows that he's a rabbit. And we also have to talk about Tropicana, of course, being sold, being up for sale. We also have to talk, of course, about the fact that consumer electronics is not a thing this next year. So where do we start? My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for the future notifications if you guys want to be informed. Tell us what you think about what you hear in the video today. Do you think that Steve Sisolak is right in his approach, but you'll have to stay a little further in the video for that one? Do you think that he's doing the right thing finally? Took him 5 months at his own admission. And if you guys want to support the channel, head on over to Patreon where you guys can be in the credits of the videos. You guys can get special stuff that I don't post anywhere else, like photos and blog posts. And you guys can also help us by going to lvsteven.com. I want to support the channel. I had to cut the video there. I had something really loud happen in the background. If you guys want to support the channel, head on over to lvsteven.com. The only 2 masks you'll ever need, made by my wife out here in Las Vegas. 2 for $25. We ship for free anywhere in the States. You know, you have to wear a mask most places you go nowadays. So hopefully you guys can do that for me if you guys want to get something in return tangible. All right, let's unpack the news today. It's been a lot of news, biggest news in a long time out here in Las Vegas. First of all, we do have Steve Sisolak and what he plans to do with the state, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. We have to talk about the fact that consumer electronics is not going to be happening next year. A lot of people are going to be saying, see, I told you, you don't know what you're talking about, you stupid moron. Well, look, here's the thing. I'm not a stupid moron. Thank you very much for your opinion on me. I hear those comments too often, but I told you if things change, I'll tell you that things are going to change. A change will do you good sometimes. Well, the Consumer Electronics Show decided a change would do them good. They canceled their show in 2021. They were doing lots of different surveys of the people in the Consumer Electronics Association, the people that make up their group and pay a fee to be in there, and they said, do you feel comfortable coming back to Las Vegas? And most of these people said no, I guess, because they're canceling the show. It's not going to happen this year. They're doing a digital show. Now, SEMA, on the other hand, I looked up, looks like it's still going to happen. You got to love these cars, huh? This is what happens when you get married in Vegas. They put you in a classic car. Pretty beautiful. So SEMA looks like it's still going on. Now that might change too, and I'll be stood corrected. I still do believe once the shows fire back up, once we get into vaccine territory, even though a lot of people are not going to take the vaccine, they're saying that there's no way they'll do it, they just don't trust it. Well, I think once we get to a vaccine, it'll give people a mindset that's good, and I think we'll be back in business, but it's going to take a while. The shows have to come back. We'll see how fast the shows can come back. Second thing up in the video today we have to talk about is the Tropicana. By the way, let's actually go back a few steps here. I shouldn't do that in the video, but I don't want to re-record this 10 times. I got a FedEx driver now blowing me out. I got garbage trucks and FedEx drivers. This is what happens when you film a video live on the Strip, folks. We also have to talk about the fact that the big SEMA show is not the big show. The Consumer Electronics is the big show. CES was supposed to be the kickoff to the Las Vegas Convention Center expansion. It was supposed to be the debut of the boring tunnels that connect people from the new expansion to the Convention Center to the Strip. I'm concerned that the Convention Center construction may slow down because of that, but then again, most of the time banks have schedules. They want you to hit certain milestones in your construction, so let's hope that that's not the case. Let's hope that this doesn't delay construction. They don't use this as a reason to furlough people, because God knows we don't need more furloughs in Las Vegas. Speaking of furloughs in Las Vegas, the Tropicana right behind me here on the main strip, they've already talked about the idea that they might be laying people off, and they haven't even opened up yet. So the Tropicana then said that they're being sold. Tropicana has a really strange history. For years, it was an unprofitable casino. It was purchased by Penn National Gaming a few years ago. They also own the M Resort down in Henderson, and they bought it for around $303 million, okay? $303 million. Now, with that, they're looking to sell it, but they're not going to sell it anytime soon. But there's another layer to this weird onion. They actually created a new company, Penn National Gaming, called Leisure Gaming or Leisure Activities or something to that effect. I can't remember right now. I'll post a link in the description box below to the Review Journal article. And they actually sold the property from Penn National Gaming to a company that they formed specifically to sell the company, the property to. Why would they do that? Well, they did that because they wanted to get tax credits. They wanted to take some of the liability for the property off of their books so that they could hopefully get money to operate on. And this was all done in the last few months. Now we get to the point where they're just going to go ahead and sell the property to somebody else. But will it happen anytime soon? Probably not. Is that going to be the resort that becomes the Hard Rock on the Strip? Probably not. A couple of reasons why. Number one, they're talking about wanting to sell it and do a lease back on it, which means that they are the ones operating it. It's still called the Tropicana. They're in charge of the profits they could take out of gaming and shows and entertainment. So they seem to want to eat their cake and have it too. You say have your cake and eat it too. The actual phrase is, have their cake and eat it too. So they seem to want to have the best of both worlds out of the deal. Now, they think that before all this started, the property itself should have been worth more like $400 to $700 million. So $300 million is probably not what they're going to sell it at, unless they have a bigger money crunch than anybody knows. Then again, I don't know what their money situation is right now. If they really needed to liquidate it, I'm sure they could find a buyer. Right now, in times like this, you might think that there's no buyers for things, but there's totally buyers for things. You just have to know that the people that want to invest in Vegas want to invest. If they don't know how to run companies, if they're not big gaming corporations, they will likely enter into that leaseback scenario where they own the property it sits on. It is prime property. I mean, it's just right there by where the Mandalay Bay is in Hacienda Road, Tropicana. All you got to do is walk 7 to 10 minutes to get to the Raiders Stadium. But then again, that's not even opening up this year, so, to people at least. So it's not like it's going to be a big valuable asset until they can get that sorted out with people at football games and big special events and concerts. So we're going to let that sit for a little while. I don't suspect you'll see any kind of action on that until way up into the future. So that's another thing. The big thing though, the one thing that you probably came here for is, August 1st rumor. I busted that rumor yesterday in the morning before I even knew that Sisolak was going to be doing any kind of a talk. So then I came out and I did my video. Guess what? Sisolak did his talk, not closing down the casinos, just as I said in that video. It was obvious that he wasn't going to close down the casinos, but was a little bit less obvious was the way that Sisolak is going about it now. So now, instead of us basically taking in an approach where we have a phase for bars, a phase for restaurants, a phase for gyms, a phase for casinos, a phase for hotels, we're going to have a phase for pretty much everything and move forward and just open stuff up by county. So he said yesterday that, yes, we're going to look at the bars. The bars are going to be reopening in 3 small counties in Nevada. It's not anywhere near us, okay? The big counties, Washoe, Nye, and Clark, we still have all the people in these areas. They're still not going to be opening bars, but we might open them up in a week. We're going to look at it week to week. He said that the mandates, the social distancing, and the masking is working, and then what they're going to do is basically look at everything is closed or everything is open going forward. This could be a positive or this could be a negative. Hopefully it's not everything is closed, including the casinos, because we have an outbreak at the gyms. But the good news about this is that the way they're looking at it is they said we're finally going to mitigate things. We have a plan to mitigate. And I'm saying it's been 5 months. You should have made that plan 5 months ago. But nevertheless, we do have a plan. They're going to be contact tracing like crazy. Now, 4 months ago, he had a press conference. Somebody in the press conference said something to the effect of, hey, Governor Sisolak, the CDC and the WHO recommend this many people per 100,000 for contact tracing. Now, whether or not you believe in contact tracing, I mean, that's a whole nother debate. You can throw down in the comments below if you think it's just Big Brother watching over us or if you think there's something to it helping. But he said, I know, and we have 2. It was like 16 you needed, and he had 2 people. They said they would hire more. They've hired more. They're going to contact trace down to zip codes, literal zip codes in the state of Nevada, find out where those flare-ups are coming from, then find out what businesses are in those zip codes, visit those zip codes, find out if they're letting their clients and their people walk around without masks, if they're breaking all the rules, if they're not being clean, or if they're running around shirtless, greasing each other up and using, you know, wet and wild slippy slides. I don't know. That last part is probably not happening. If it is, that would be a crazy business to have. So he's going to find out who's breaking the rules, essentially, down to the zip code if possible. He hopes that by doing that, we can get into a situation where instead of us arbitrarily wondering if it's the bars and saying, well, Dr. Fauci said it's the bars, so we're going to close down the bars, or Dr. Fauci said that we shouldn't have people doing this, so we're not going to do this. They're going to get down to the bottom of it in Nevada, it sounds like, and they're going to really try to get to the root of all of the problems and where they actually come from. Now, that's probably the best thing that I could have heard out of all of this response that Sisolak has had. It's nice to hear that he has that response. Isn't that a shame? It's a nice shot, except for some gross Arizona iced tea can. I'll throw that in the garbage after I'm done. So it's nice that he is doing that, and he realizes that this state is more important than anything else, and these casinos, these properties behind us, very important. So I don't think he believes it's actually the casinos that are spreading it out, and I think he's correct. I think at this point, anybody who works in the casino might be going back home and to their area, to their zip code, whatever part of Las Vegas that they live in, and the spread is happening at local businesses. So he wants to focus on the local micromanage parts. If we can do it, great. Micromanaging is very difficult when you have millions of people to micromanage, but we'll keep you guys updated on what he actually says. But the long and short of all that is that they're not closing down the casinos anytime soon. We obviously have the Tropicana, even though it's going to be up for sale, being opened up on September the 1st. We have the Mirage opening at some point in August. We also have the Bacchanal Buffet opening at some point in August. But there's a lot of uncertainty in Las Vegas right now, a business climate that's not really sure what's going to happen next. I just hope that we can get through the next few months to a point where a vaccine happens and people have more consumer confidence to come back, and that we have more of a chance to make it through to the 12th round of the fight and come out on top glowingly. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Hopefully this news was good for you guys. Let me give this to this guy. Excuse me. I'm going to give this to this guy right here, because it doesn't make sense. I got this for you. Thank you. There you go. So we clean up Vegas one can at a time. Hopefully you guys would like, share, subscribe to videos, hit the bell for the future notifications. I hope the traffic noise wasn't too much for you. Head on over to Patreon if you want to support us further. Head on over to vegasfacemask.com if you guys want to pick up some face masks, only 2 that you'll ever need. And now's the time of the video where I try to put on my mask one hand at a time, and I tell you guys that you're the best part of my day. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the videos. A lot of you watch, but you're not subscribed, but you see all of my updates if you do subscribe. Now I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, click. I got the blaring hot sun. 3, 2, 1, are you ready for this? And click.